What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Cloudless Media. My name is Christian, aka Cloudless of Cloudless Media, and I want to thank you for watching or clicking on my video. I do want to let you know that I am a little under the weather while I record this, so bear with me. Anyways, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down in the comment section, and let's get to it. Last night, I was at a Goth event, and I met someone who couldn't believe I hadn't heard of a band he loved. Talking Heads, the famous 80s band behind songs like Once in a Lifetime and Burning Down the House. So I looked them up, and it turns out I actually did know one of their songs. And honestly, that happens a lot to me. But what's interesting is I've had that exact same reaction in completely different situations. Music, movies, liquor, books. And at some point, I had to ask myself, are we even living in the same culture anymore? There's this idea that if something is big, you should know it. Like, it's just part of being culturally aware. But I don't think that holds up anymore, especially today. Most people don't go looking for culture. They engage with whatever gets put in front of them. And to be fair, that idea used to make sense. There were fewer options: radio, TV, even physical spaces like venues and theaters. A handful of channels and places deciding what people saw and heard. So when something blew up, you didn't have to look for it. You couldn't avoid it. And that's how certain artists, movies, and ideas became shared reference points. But now, everything is filtered. Your music, your shows, your interest. You don't just listen to the radio anymore. You open Spotify or Pandora. You don't wait for what's on TV. You pick something on Netflix, Hulu, or whatever you're in the mood for. And you don't go searching store to store for a book. You just order it or start reading it instantly. And behind all of that, your algorithm isn't showing you everything. It's showing you what keeps you watching. And over time, that builds a version of culture that feels complete. But it's actually just yours. So yeah, music is the obvious example. I'm into goth nights, EDM, underground scenes, black metal. So what feels normal to me might not even register to someone else. And the same goes the other way. There are artists people treat like common knowledge that I've never even come across. And then there are songs I do know. I just couldn't tell you who made them. Like, I can't tell you how many songs I thought were by the Eagles, just because a lot of artists from that era sound similar. And honestly, that's not just classic rock, that happens across genres. But this isn't just music. Take liquor or spirits. Everybody knows the big names. Brands like Tito's, Captain Morgan, Maker's Mark, Bombay Sapphire. People treat them like they're the standard. To be fair, I actually really like Bombay Sapphire. Not gonna lie. But let's be honest. A lot of standards are just products of really good marketing. Big names aren't the benchmark. They're just the most visible. Me personally, I got into spirits through local Indiana distilleries. So when I recommend something, it's usually local. Not because I'm trying to be different, but because that's what I was exposed to. That's my lane. Same thing with movies. Most of my favorite films, they're not big budget blockbusters. They're indie, B movies, story driven stuff. So when I bring them up, people either haven't seen them or they've barely heard of them. And anime is where I really saw this early on. I grew up watching Adult Swim in the early 2000s. Shows like Yu Yu Hakusho, oh, sorry, Yu Yu Hakusho, Yu Yu Hakusho, Rurouni Kenshin, Inuyasha, Ghost in the Shell, Trigun. I was watching those almost every night. So in my mind, that was popular. But then in high school, I joined an anime club, and that's when it really clicked. You think something is popular until you step into a different group and realize that's not what they're watching at all. In fact, they're into something completely different. Even books. You'll hear names like Ernest Hemingway or Hunter S. Thompson. People recognize those names. But recognition doesn't mean engagement. It doesn't mean they've read the work. It doesn't mean they've connected with it. It doesn't even mean they care. And philosophy is probably the clearest example of this. I've read thinkers like Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, Cicero, but ask me about Ayn Rand or Noam Chomsky, and I couldn't tell you much. Not because they're not important, but because I didn't have much exposure to them. And what I did hear just didn't pull me in. And that's kind of the point. Even in something as important as philosophy, what you know, what you read, what you connect with, comes down to what you were exposed to and what actually resonated with you. And this is where the assumption breaks. We treat popular like it equals universal. Like, if something is big enough, everyone must know it. Everyone must have experienced it. Everyone must understand it. We've confused exposure with understanding, and that's not how it works anymore. Because the reality is, popular just means visible. It doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't mean it's been experienced. It doesn't mean it's understood. It just means it's been seen. And in a world where everything is filtered, visibility doesn't equal reach. It just means you saw it. So when someone says, wait, you never heard this? It's not really about knowledge. It's about perspective. They're speaking from their world. You're speaking from yours. But the problem is, a lot of people haven't really adjusted to that yet. So instead of seeing it as a difference in exposure, they treat it like a gap in awareness. Like not knowing something automatically disqualifies you. Like your opinion carries less weight. Just because your reference points are different. When really, it just means you came up in a different lane. We're not all tapped into the same stream anymore. We're in different lanes, different scenes, different influences, different inputs. When I was a kid, I could really only listen to one radio station. But at night, I'd switch a couple of stations over and listen to EDM. And one night, while I was flipping between stations, I caught a sound from a smaller local station, something completely different. And that moment, honestly, changed my taste in music. I didn't even know what it was called, so I couldn't go looking for it. I couldn't find more of it. And I wouldn't come across it again until I finally had access to my own computer. And that's the point. What you find, what you fall in love with, what shapes your taste, a lot of it comes down to what you happen to be exposed to and when. So yeah, you haven't heard of my favorite artist. And that's normal, because I probably haven't heard yours either. We're just in different lanes. Or maybe I have, because I'm a hipster and I liked them before they were mainstream. Anyways, thanks for watching, you guys. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and I will see you guys in the next one.